Okay, so do you have questions before we start our lab today? No? Everybody okay? Good? Okay, nice. Now, we finished with the bone, right? With the bone. And for that, especially for the lab exam, right? You have to know each bone, right? Each bone, like humerus, radius ulna, the femur, got it? All try to memorize all the bones. Now, in this lab, we actually gonna learn the joint between the bone. So between the bone, they actually join together, and then it will allow us to have some movement because of this joint. Now, in this joint, this is really important. First, you have to know the name of the bone. Second, you have to know the name of the joint. So there is a name for each joint. There are several. You're gonna learn today, right? And there is also different type of movement in the joint. Therefore, you have to know that the name of the joint, the type of movement in the joint, and of course, the name of the bone that performing that movement, that joint. And the last, later, next week, you're gonna learn about the muscle. That movement is actually caused by the contraction of the muscle. Then you have to know the name of the muscle that causing that movement. On the lab exam, I mentioned to you before, I will dance. Like for example, I'm doing like this. Okay? Now you have to know what is the name of the bone over here. What is the name of the bone over here? What? Let's say you have humerus, radius, and ulna. Right? And then there is a joint over here. That joint is called the hinge joint. Okay? And then this movement over here, boom. What do you call that movement? You flex your. It's flexion. It's called flexion. That's the name of the joint. This is just for example. Okay, flexion. And that flexion is caused by this contraction of this muscle over here. Bicep. You see that one? So in the exam, I'm gonna do that one. Boom. Name of the two bones, and then name of the joint, name of the movement, and name of the muscle that causes that movement. So at least in one place, there are 5 questions on it. What? The name of the bone, 2 of them, the name of the joint, the name of the movement, and the muscle that causing that movement. Are you with me? It's not difficult because you're gonna learn today. You're gonna learn. You already learned the name of the bones, right? Make sure you have that in your brain. Okay? So make sure you keep memorizing the name of that bone. Now we're gonna go to the joint. Okay, joint. Another name of joint is articulation. Articulation. That means also joint. Okay? And then for the scientific name, it's called the arthrosis. 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 Then you have arthritis later, you have, that's related to this scientific name. Joint, articulation, arthrosis. What is this? Joint. Joint is actually point of contact. Okay, contact between bone to bone. That's it. That's the primary definition of the joint. What is joint? Point of contact between bone to bone. See, not difficult, right? Point of contact between bone to bone. Are you with me? Now we're gonna make or learn the classification of joint. Okay, remember our course name. What's our course name? Anatomy and physiology. What is anatomy? Science of structure. What is physiology?
Function.
Science of function. You guys understand? Okay, so we're gonna divide this type of joint first based on structure. Based on structure or based on anatomy. Okay? Based on structure or based on anatomy. Second, what is based on? What is the second gonna be? The first one? Oh, sorry.
Based on function.
It's gonna be this one based on function
Or physiology.
or physiology. Okay? And mostly the function of bone is for what? Movement. So this one is actually based on movement over here. You follow this? Right? Based on structure and based on function. Okay, now both of them is actually divided into three types. A, gonna be B, and C. Right? This one also there will be A, B, and C. Right? So there are three types of joint based on structures, and there are three types of joints based on functions. Got it? Now, structure is mean what? It's mean structure. Right? What it's made of, where its location, etc. In this case, it is based on what actually make that joint to connect. Are you with me? Based on what material that make connection between these two bones. Right? Okay? The first one, if the bone is connected by fibers, what? That joint is called fibrous joint. See? Even Dalton can name it easily. Why? Because it's just easy. Based on the structure that make that joint is made of fiber, then the name is gonna be fibrous joint. Right? The second one, the connection is actually done. Okay, there is a joint, there is a bone, and between the bone there is cartilage. Yeah, see, it's called a cartilaginous joint, which is joint that is made by cartilage. Are you with me? The next one is in this joint, there is actually cavity. The joint is not really connected, but there is a cavity that covers this joint place. That cavity is called the synovial cavity. Therefore, the name of the joint is synovial joint, right? Synovial joint. Okay? That's easy, right? Now again, what is fibrous joint? Connected by fiber. Connected by fibers. Maybe elastic, maybe reticular, maybe collagen fibers, right? That's fiber. Cartilaginous joint connected by cartilage. Connected by cartilage. There are three types of cartilage. You still remember? There are three types of cartilage. That's fiber. That's fiber. Hyaline, elastic, and the last one is fibrocartilage. Get it, right? Hyaline cartilage, elastic cartilage, and fibrocartilage. Which one is the strongest one? Fibrocartilage is the strongest type of cartilage. Alright? That's cartilaginous joint. And what is synovial joint? Connected by synovial cavity. Okay, connected or protected connected by synovial cavity plus there is a fluid in that cavity. It's called the synovial fluid. Synovial fluid for lubrication. So I make it this complete sentence over here. So synovial joint, it has synovial cavity, and in the synovial cavity there is a fluid. What is the fluid name? Synovial fluid. What is the use for? No, it's not gluing, but it's for just like oil, right, in your car. It's make the machine lubricate, easy to move. Based on this information, which one do you think gonna be free movable joint? The joint that you can move freely. It's gonna be the last one, right?
Yeah.
The other two over here will not really move, or it has slightly movement. Are you with me? First, right? Now let's go to the function over here. There are three functions. First, if that joint does not give any movement, that joint is called synarthrosis. 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 Synarthrosis means immovable joint. What does immovable mean? Cannot move. It's joint with the fiber, but there's no movement. That bone is just boom, stay there. It's connected, but no movement. You get one? The second one is called the amphiarthrosis. This one means slightly movable joint. It means that there is a movement, but it's very little. Like for example, when you bending your back vertebrae, there is a movement, but it's not that free. And the last one, of course, you have immovable, you have slightly, and the last one is going to be freely movable. It's called a diarthrosis. It means that freely movable joint.
That's like our finger to grab. It's like our finger to grab.
Any freely movable, that's gonna be diarthrosis. Your finger, your shoulder, all of them will be here. All of them will be synovial joint. All synovial joint will be diarthrosis, because it's freely movable joint. Do you have question first for this one? Free? No. Basically, most of the fibrous joint, they are what? Synarthrosis. Most of this is okay. So majority of fibrous joint will be synarthrosis, immovable. Most of the cartilaginous joints will be, it's not all of them, okay? Remember, just most. Most of the cartilaginous joint will be amphiarthrosis, slightly movable. You get one? Remember, I did not say all. Most fibrous joint, they are what? Synarthrosis. Most of the cartilaginous joint, they are amphiarthrosis. Now I can say this one all. Okay? All the synovial joint will be freely movable or diarthrosis. You follow this? Okay. Now we're gonna see the example. Right? The fibrous joint, right, divided into 3 types. Okay? Divided into 3 types. First, we call suture. How you say it?
Suture.
Suture. Okay, suture. That's the name. That's the first type of fibrous joint. What is suture? Suture is joint in the scalp, between bone in the scalp. Right? Joint of bone in the skull, except there is one exception over here. You have 22 bones in the skull, right? One of them actually freely movable, which is what? Mandible. Right? Except mandible. Because mandible will be synovial joint. Mandible is synovial joint. So from these 22 bones, one of them freely movable. Exception, which is the mandible.
So that covers 21 bones.
21. Yeah, you can say that. Okay, now this suture, I'm gonna put it here. Suture, there are 4. I think you already have this one in the last lab. Look at this. We're gonna use the cranium for example of the suture. Okay. Again, make sure no. Okay. Let's say this is just like in the lab exam. Right? I'm asking you, what is the name of this bone? Frontal. What is the name of 2 bones over here? Parietal. Right? There is a suture over here that connect the frontal and parietal. And that suture is look like a crown. You know the girls sometimes they're playing princess or queen. They have crown. Therefore it's called crown or coronal. Okay? Coronal suture. It's crown suture. That's the name. Can you move this joint?
No.
No, you cannot. So this one is what? Sin arthrosis, immovable. You get it, one? Look at the second type. Between these 2 bones, what is the name of the 2 bones? Right. There is also suture. And you still remember the plane? Sagittal, right? Sagittal is going to be the same name. Sagittal suture. Make sure in your note, make sure you put the name of the bone. So coronal suture is between what bone? Frontal and parietal. The sagittal suture between 2 parietal bones, left and right. Get it? The next one is on the back over here. You see these 2 bones again? What is the name? Parietal. And what's the backbone? Occipital. Between parietal and occipital, there is also suture over here. That one is called the lambdoidal. Lambdoidal suture. And again, put the name of the bone. Otherwise, you're gonna confuse during the lab exam. Okay. Lambdoidal suture. Are you with me? Last one. Look, that's parietal bone and the bone on the side. What do you call it? Temporal bone, right? There is also suture. It looks like a scale, okay? Like a fish scale or snake scale, right? On the skin. Scale means squamous. Therefore, the name is actually coming from this. Squamous suture. And again, put the name of the bone between parietal and temporal bones. Get it? Do they move? No. So they are all of them sin arthrosis, immovable joint. That's the first type for this fibrous joint. The second type, if your teeth, between your teeth is a bone, right? and your jaws, whether upper jaws, the maxilla, and the lower jaw, the mandible. You have teeth. Do you know how many teeth on your maxilla? How many teeth in your maxilla?
Like
16. How many in the mandible? 16. Total? 32, right? That's normal. Now, if you see the teeth, let's say this is smaller teeth, then you have this root, right? Root of the teeth, get it? And you have the bone of, let's say this is mandible. Alright, so mandible, get it? Okay, this root is actually held by fiber. There is a fiber that holds your teeth or your tooth into this socket. The teeth socket in the mandible or in the maxilla. Get it one? So there is fiber on it. Therefore, it is type of fibrous joint. So the teeth joint between the teeth and the jaws, whether mandible or maxilla, is called gum fauces. Gum fauces. Tooth with jaws. The jaws bone, whether mandible or the maxilla. Right? So they have connection or they have joint named what? Gum fauces. That's the name of the joint. Do they move?
The teeth after they come out together.
No. Normally, when you have teeth on your jaws, it is moving or not?
Yes and no. It's like
Remember, in the skull, only one bone that is freely movable, which is the jaw. But the teeth don't move. If your teeth moving, then you have problem. You have to go to the doctor. Especially kids, when they change their teeth, right? That teeth is moving, right? And then what happened mean? This means that connection is losing. And then what happened? Take it out, right? So they change with the new bone. The same thing with you adult, and then your teeth is moving, it means that it's not good. You have problem. So this gum fauces, what is the function gonna be? Synarthrosis, amphiarthrosis, or diarthrosis? Synarthrosis, immovable. Your teeth should not move in the socket. It should be steady. It should be good, fixed. So gum fauces is also synarthrosis, right? This is syn. Therefore, I mentioned before, most of the fibrous joint, they are synarthrosis. The last one over here, that is exception, is not synarthrosis. The name of the last type of fibrous joint is called the syndesmosis. Syndesmosis. This is only located in two locations of our body. You see this one, the two bone on the lower arm. What is the bigger one? What is the bigger bone over here? Radius. What is the smaller one? Ulna. There is actually connection over here. It's gone now because they take it out. There is a connection. There is a ligament. There is a fiber that connect this radius and ulna. Make sure you put the name of the bone. What? Radius and ulna. It has fiber that connect them. That joint between these two bones is called syndesmosis. Right? The other location is here. It's very similar, which is on the, what you call this? What's the bigger bone over here? Tibia and fibula. There is also ligament, fiber, that connect these two bones. It's similar, right? Big bone, small bone, they have connection. Radius ulna, tibia, fibula, they have this type of joint. It's called syndesmosis. It actually will allow a little bit movement. They actually can slightly move. So again, put the name of the bones that have this syndesmosis, which is between radius ulna, tibia, fibula. So what is this function based on the movement? Syndesmosis will be amphiarthrosis, slightly movable. You follow this? Get it? Make sure you get this one, right? Between radius ulna, tibia, fibula, there is syndesmosis, that is amphiarthrosis, slightly movable joint. We're done. We're done with the type of fibrous joint. Suture, gomphosis, syndesmosis. You need? Now we go to the second type of joint based on the structure, which is cartilaginous joint, and there are two. There are two types for this cartilaginous joint. The first one is called the synchondrosis. Synchondrosis. Okay. It is the cartilaginous joint that's made of. Connection is made by hyaline cartilage. So the bone is connected with the hyaline cartilage. Then the name will be what? Synchondrosis. Get me? Now I give you an example. Look at this. You see that one bone? What do you call this bone? There are 12 pairs. Ribs, right? Or costed. Do you know what is the name of the bone? Sternum. This bone connected, right? But you see, there is a hyaline cartilage over here.
Oh, that's why it's dark.
Yeah, this is different color, right? It means that it is actually not the bone. This is cartilage. This is type of hyaline cartilage. So this is one example of what? Synchondrosis. Do you think it is moved? No, it is immovable. Right? So synchondrosis, it is immovable. Going down. Remember I said for the cartilages mostly they are amphiarthrosis, but there are some that is synarthrosis, immovable. What? So example is here, between the sternum and the ribs, it has hyaline cartilage. Another one here in the xiphoid process. Xiphoid process is kind of hyaline cartilage also. So this is also another example of synchondrosis. Right? Hyaline cartilage that attached to the bone. Okay. Now you still remember here? Let's say this is bone, right? There are three parts of the bone over here, right? What is the top part called? Epiphysis, metaphysis, diaphysis, right? You remember that? And remember over here when you're still young, you have what you call it? Epiphyseal plate. What is that? That's a cartilage. That's actually hyaline cartilage. Hyaline cartilage. It's hyaline cartilage. So this also another example of this. What is that? Synchondrosis. It is movable. No, it's not movable, but it is growing, right? Make you taller. But there is a hyaline cartilage between this bone over here actually that separated two parts of the bone, the long bone. Epiphysis and metaphysis, it has what we call the epiphyseal plate, which is made of hyaline cartilage, and it will make that joint as a synchondrosis. Just for information, we actually have more than 360 joints in our body. It's a lot. It's a lot. Therefore, we divide it here in order to make sure you know the classification, the name. So this is one same chondrosis. Why? Hyaline cartilage between both. Are you with me? It is movable?
No.
No, it is synarthrosis, immovable.
So it's in between the
Epiphysis and metaphysis. Right. Okay. Do you have questions about? The second type for the cartilaginous joint is called the symphysis. So this one is connection is made by the strongest cartilage. What is the name of the strongest cartilage? Fibrocartilage.
Yeah, I said it earlier.
I said fibrocartilage. The strongest type of cartilage make this bone-to-bone connection, and the name of the joint will be what? Symphysis. The easy example, we always know this one. What you call this area over here? So between the left and right hip bone, you have pubic area, right? This is a pubic, right? And between this actually there is a fibrocartilage. Therefore, this one is type of symphysis. The name for this is actually pubic symphysis. Pubic symphysis. Are you with me? The second one is really easy. How many vertebrae do you have? 26. And between vertebrae there is actually cartilage, which is fibrocartilage, right? So this is another type of what? Symphysis. Between vertebrae. Symphysis. Do they move?
No.
Are you sure? Can you bend your...
Yeah.
Yeah. Free or slightly? Slightly movable. So, the symphysis over here is the one that is anti-arthrosis. You got this one? See, it's not that difficult, right? You know the name of the bone, the name of the joint, and the name of the movement, right? Whether synarthrosis or amphiarthrosis right now. We do not talk the diarthrosis yet, because all of this will be related to the last type of the joint. It's called the synovial joint. Are you with me first? Now, synovial joint is the biggest one. So I'm gonna erase this. I need space to explain the synovial joint. Are you okay?
Yeah.
You're gonna erase this, right? Now we just talk about the last type of joint, which is what? Synovial joint. And also the last type of movement, which is diarthrosis, right? Because that's connected.
Freely movable.
Freely movable. You're right. Freely movable joint. Right? So it's gonna be the C, right? Which is synovial joint. Now, in general, it's gonna be look like this. Let's say this is you have one joint, one bone, and there is another bone over here, right? Mostly it's connected between the process and the depression, right? Process and depression. Okay. Now this is the characteristic of synovial joint. It will be protected by capsule. You with me? Right? So this one, the bone that making joint or making the articulation is called the articulating bone. This is another articulating bone, the bone that make articulation. Okay. two. Right? You with me? It can be any bone. We're gonna learn that later. Okay, based on the location, then you have different name later. Okay. Are you with me? Now, what is the characteristic? It has this. It has this cavity. Cavity. What do you call that cavity? What is the name of the cavity? Synovial cavity. Synovial cavity. Filled with liquid. What's the liquid name?
Synovial fluid.
Yes, synovial fluid. What is the function of synovial fluid?
Lubrication.
Lubrication. It's oil. The oil that actually lubricate this joint, because you move a lot, right? You need lubrication. Even your car, you have to change oil every 3,000 miles, right? Because what? Otherwise, it's gonna be difficult to move, right? Hey, so you got this one first. There are two bones that articulate. It's called the articulating bone. There is a synovial cavity filled with the synovial fluid. Are you with me? Now, in this articulating bone, at the end, which is in the top of the epiphysis, they are not actually bone. The top one over here is not really bone. It is cartilage. It is cartilage. That's to help you with the friction. So this structure, the cartilage that's located on the top of the bone, is called the articular. So everything will be related to articulation for that, right? Articular cartilage. This is actually hyaline. This is the hyaline cartilage, which is the softest one. Remember, the strongest one is fibrocartilage. Hyaline is actually the softest type of cartilage. And it is also located in the end of the bone, in the epiphysis. Are you with me? Now, look at the capsule over here. Capsule. That capsule is called, I'm going to put here, articular capsule. Everything starts with the articular because this is the articulation. Are you with me? Articular capsule. And the articular capsule actually have two layers of membrane. I'm going to use the white color over here, the outer membrane. The outer membrane over here is called the fibrous membrane because it's made of ligament or fiber. So it's going to be fibrous membrane or layer. So we don't have different color of the chalk. Alright. Now the second layer will be here. I'm gonna use the clear color over here. So this clear color over here, right? So that second layer, that's really touching the synovial fluid directly. That layer is called the synovial membrane.
That was more on the inside.
Yeah, in the inside. The one that's actually the layer of the synovial cavity itself, the inside layer, is called what? Synovial membrane. The outside layer is called fibrous membrane, and both of them is a capsule, synovial or articular capsule. Are you with me? Yeah. Now, what is the function of the synovial fluid?
To lubricate.
Lubricate this. this joint, right? Now what happens when we get older? Okay? We don't produce synovial fluid anymore. It's kind of less production. And what happens? The synovial fluid, the first function is for lubrication. The second function is to feed or give nutrition, feed the articular cartilage. What is the second function of synovial fluid? Give nutrition to the articular cartilage over here, right? Now what happens if you don't have enough synovial fluid? The cartilage over here will die. Will die, become solid. And you have problem, it's called the arthritis. It's called the arthritis. Yeah? This is originally on all people. All people that do not produce enough synovial fluid. Okay? Do you have questions about it? Until what time we here? 10, 15, right? Yeah. Now, this is the general structure of what? Synovial joint. Are you with me first? So all the synovial joint will be look like this. We'll have synovial cavity with the synovial fluid, and the function of synovial fluid is to feed this, lubricate, and also there is a capsule. Get it? Now, type. There are several types of synovial joint. Okay. Now in the exam, you actually have to know the name over here, because basically this is the name that you have to write during the lab exam. First one is called the plane or planar joint. Okay, planar joint. Okay, you with me? Now, on the function also, there is several types. And again, on the lab exam, you basically have to name this movement type. Right? So all of them, I didn't put that one first. This is diarthrosis, right? Diarthrosis. What does diarthrosis mean? Freely movable joint, right? Freely movable joint. There are several types of this movable joint. First, when the joint is actually, the bone is rubbing together like this, boom, 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 what? That type of movement is called gliding. Gliding. That's the name of movement. Get it? Now, the planar joint, it is actually created by joint, the bone, that have flat surface between it. Therefore, when they move, what happens? They will be gliding, right? So therefore, the plane or planar joint, all of them will give. Should I erase this one? I didn't erase it, right? So it's going to be confusing if you not. I don't. So everybody can already draw this, right? I'm gonna erase this. Okay. Now, the plane on the planar joint, they usually or mostly will give gliding type of movement.
So it's flat.
Gliding. Example, I'm gonna use this one. Between the patella, patella and the femur, there is some flat surface. When you move your what you call this? The knee, the knee. There is a gliding movement between patella and the femur. That, what do you call that joint? What is the name of the joint? Gliding. What is the type of movement? Gliding. Can you follow this? Gliding. Plan. Okay, made or created by the planar joint. The second one is called pivot. Pivot joint. You see this? between the second vertebrae. What is the name of the second vertebrae? Axis. What is the first vertebrae? Atlas. You see that in the second vertebrae, in the axis, there is a dance, there is a structure look like this. What? And then the atlas is whole like this. So you have this. Correct? You can, that's this one. This is fifth joint. This is fifth joint. What type of movement gonna be? You're gonna say no, no, no. What? That movement is called rotation. Okay? So fifth joint mostly will give rotation. You follow this?
That was towards your axis or atlas?
Between axis and the atlas, and later will also connect it to the skull. Okay? Are you with me? So no. Okay? So there is a muscle that's doing that. We're gonna learn the muscle next time. Okay? So they're gonna be connected later. Next one. Okay? And the next movement over here, we're gonna put number 3 over here. It's called the angular movement. Okay, but angular movement, it has several types. What does angular mean? It's change the angle. The movement that change the angle. Right? One of them, flexion. Okay, flexion. And what is the opposite of flexion? X. And always contraction, always goes by the contraction. But this is flexion and then extension. Extension. Extension usually only give you the highest angle is only 180. Well, you cannot more than that. But you can also do like over here. Let's say this is 90, right? And then when you do this to 180, that's extension, right? Can you move more? Yes. Like this, boom. You might have more than 180. If it is like that, it's called the hyper extension. Okay? There is also movement, it's called the adduction. And the opposite of adduction is abduction. And there is last one of the angular movement is called the circumambulation. Okay.
Wait, what's that last one?
Circumambulation. Like you moving like this, like a cone movement. Circumduction. Okay. Okay. And then number 4 over here, going to be special movement. Well, I'm going to put the name of the function first. There are 4 in your mandible. Mandible can move 4. First one is called the protraction. Protraction. And the opposite is retraction. There is also elevation, and this is mandible. And the opposite of elevation is depression. There is another 4 in your foot. Sorry. On the foot, you can move your foot to the side, to the middle is called the inversion, inversion, and then eversion to the lateral, and then you can also put your foot down. It's called the flexion, plantar flexion, and you can put it up. It's called the dorsal flexion. I'm gonna put it this one first, then we're gonna see. Okay? You can do it at home later, yeah, in order to study, maybe with your family or with your friends. Okay. Therefore, you have that idea how that movement. We're gonna back to the type of the subnatural joint. First is plan or planet. Second is pivot. Right? The next one is called the hinge joint. Right? This is pivot joint, hinge joint. Right? The hinge joint, one bone usually have that hook type, and the other one have the one that will make the hook stay. Alright, that's hinge. Yeah, like that. Just like the hinge over there, okay? On the door, it's hinge. That's called a hinge joint. What type of movement gonna be? Example is we're gonna use this, the elbow joint. Elbow joint is actually a hinge joint. Right? If you see the bone, it has hook.
Diaphragm.
What is the one? But you can see it over here. There is a hook, right? It's a hook, and the hook is actually holding the humerus, on the humerus, hold the humerus, right? There is a hook. Looks like the humerus over here. It looks like this for holding the hook, right? You get one? So that's the hook joint or hinge joint in the elbow. Now what the kind of movement over here? Let's say I start with the 180. What? This is 180 degree angle. When I move it like this, boom, become 90. What do you call that movement? So hinge can give you flexion. Get it? Now look at this. I start with a 90 degree and then boom, I make it 180. Extension. Can we move more? More than? You cannot do the hyperextension with your elbow, except if you broken the elbow. Boom. Oh. Okay. Now, but hyperextension you can do it with this shoulder joint. 180. Boom. More than 180. Maybe 270 or something like that. That's hyperextension. You guys what? Now how about adduction? Adduction is like this. Adduction. I'm doing, this is shoulder joint. I'm from here, from outside. I move it to the middle. That's adduction. You with me? Adduction. How about abduction? It's going to be opposite. I'm starting from here, and then you take it away. Boom. That's abduction. Just remember, an alien will be abducting the girl or the kid. What? Take it away. Okay. That's abduction. Circumambulation, this is here. The cone movement. This is not rotation. Remember, this is not rotation. Rotation is actually when it is straight. It's not straight. Yeah, that's rotation. But if you still have cone like this, that's circumduction. Are you with me? So that's the name of movement. And then the next one is called saddle joint. It looks like saddle on the horse. This is actually located here between the metatarsal and your first phalanges on there is a saddle. There is a saddle joint over here. They can also give you some angular movement. Flexion, extension, circumduction, right? So that's the type of movement over there. The next one is called condyloid. Condyloid joint. Okay, this is look like this. That's condyloid. You have projection or process and the depression, but the depression is shallow. It's shallow. It's not that deep. So you have this. The joint between your fingers mostly condyloid. What kind of movement you can make? Flexion, extension. Okay, flexion, extension, flexion, extension. Okay, flexion, extension. That's condyloid. The last one is called ball and socket. Ball and socket. This is only in two places in our body, in the shoulder and in the
Femur.
what? Yeah, what you call?
Finger.
This is shoulder. This is
Acetabular.
hip. Okay, hip joint and shoulder joint. Right? Now that one is gonna be like this. You have the ball and the socket is deep. Okay. If you compare between the condyloid and ball and socket, they are very similar. But for the ball and socket, the socket is really deep. And again, we only have two places in the shoulder and in the hip joint for the ball and socket. What type of movement? Lot of type of movement that you can make with the ball and socket. So many angles, so many movements. Okay, you got this one, right? Now this one over here, special movement on the between the temporal and the mandible. It's called the temporomandibular joint. It's actually, it has two joints over here, plane and hinge. It has plane and hinge on this. Because this, if you see this one, it has the one that is flat. This will make the plane. And it has this, which is what? Make the hinge joint. Get it? Now what is type of movement special for this mandible, lower jaw? It has four movements that you can make. First, when you move your mandible to the front, which is kind of gliding to the front, it's called what? Protraction. Protraction. And you glide to the back, it's called retraction. What? Re. And you can also move up, it's called elevation, and move down, it's called what? Depression. Get it? That's for the special movement on the mandible. The last one is movement on the foot. Like this, okay here. So mostly you are gonna have a lot of plantar joint over there, between the tarsal bone. Now if you move like this, boom, to the middle, it's called what? Inversion. Inside. Get it? When you move it outside, eversion, right? When you move it up, no, up is, this one is dorsal, it's gonna be dorsiflexion. When you move it to the plantar, it's gonna be plantar flexion. You got this one? Now, make sure you study this and also try to do it with your classmates. What I'm doing over here?
That was
From here to here. Abduction. How about here?
abduction.
How about this?
Circumference.
How about this?
Flexion.
How about this?
Extension.
How about this?
Contraction.
How about this?
Oh, that's still circumcision. I think. Circumduction.
Circumduction, right? It's a problem. Are you with me? You get this one? Good. Your lab report is due next week. And again, exercise or train with your classmate. Okay?